All right, welcome back, everyone. All right, today we are moving on to chapter 7, where I'll be talking about coping and interventions. So, we will cover stress and resilience, coping interventions, and social support. All right, let's jump in. Coping with stress can look so different and varies from person to person. Take a moment to think back to the height of the pandemic. Consider two different scenarios. Now, imagine a freshman college student who just moved to a new state, has made no friends, and has no family support system. They are in complete isolation with no sight of normalcy. This left the student contemplating abandoning school or sticking it out. Now, think about a college student who was born and raised where they were attending college. They have a healthy support network of friends and family. They have their pets with them and are financially stable. These scenarios display how stress can be dealt with depending on personal and circumstantial factors. It's a no brainer that the one college student with endless resources finds stressful situations to be less effective in their life. Unfortunately, for the other, coping is a challenge. Coping is described as thoughts and behaviors used to manage the internal and external demands of situations that are appraised as stressful. Each person has their own unique personality. These differences can influence how he or she will cope with a stressful event. There are, of course, people who are strongly affected by stressful events. This experience can lead to an increase in psychological distress, physical symptoms such as anxiety, sleep disturbances, and the likelihood of illness such as a stroke. Negative affectivity is a pervasive negative mood marked by anxiety, depression, and hostility. People high in negative affectivity express distress, discomfort, and dissatisfaction in many situations. What links chronic negative affect to illness is that this negative affectivity relates to elevated levels of stress indicators such as cortisol, heart rate, inflammation, and a risk for coronary heart disease. Another link is poor health habits. People who are more prone to negative affect will be more inclined to drinking heavily, using drugs, and respond to treatment unfavorably. So, we discussed the connection between negative affect and illness. Now, positive emotional functioning promotes better mental and physical health. People who have a positive outlook tend to invest time and effort to overcome barriers to achieve personal goals. So, what are some healthy coping mechanisms? Optimism is a great start. Optimism uses problem focused coping by hitting the situation head on. This can be established by healthy boundaries or creating a to do list. Optimists can also emphasize the positive aspects of stressful situations. A great example could be getting into a really bad car accident. The car is totaled, but on the positive, you and the other driver are unharmed. It can put things into perspective real quick. Okay, there are four important factors when utilizing religion as a coping mechanism. First, it provides a belief system and a way of thinking about stressful events that can lessen distress and find meaning in these events. Second, spiritual beliefs can lead to better health practices. Third, religion may provide a source for social support, such as a sense of group identity. And finally, religion simply has been tied to better health. Let's not forget resilience, which is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. Think back to the example of the college student who had no resources and was alone during COVID. Resilience in that particular situation would be if, despite all trauma endured, she would persist and move forward despite the hardship. That could look like staying enrolled in school or reaching out and asking for help. Speaking of moving forward, let's change gears and talk about coping interventions. There are several amazing interventions I will discuss, such as meditation, expressive writing, and relaxation training. All are unique and are not a one size fits all. So keep in mind something that may not be your jam may be for someone else. Let's dive into mindfulness meditation. Meditation strives to ground us, bringing us back to focus on the present and accept it without distractions or stress. Easier said than done, but it is beneficial and definitely worth talking about. Mindfulness based stress reduction is systematic training in mindfulness to help people manage their reactions to stress and the negative emotions that may result. The goal is being mindful rather than reactive. All right, so Roth and Robbins conducted a study which explored whether an 8-week MBSR program could improve the health in low income, Latino, and Anglo inner city community. What they discovered was that health and quality of life improved among participants, leading to believe that MBSR may, in fact, have beneficial health effects as well as coping benefits. Since we're on the topic of meditation, I wanted to provide an activity that is very easy to replicate and entails no experience to engage in this intervention successfully. This is called the box breathing technique. First, make sure that you are sitting comfortably in a chair. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. Ensure your environment is stress free and quiet, right? You don't want a lot of distractions and noises going on around you. You will place your hands in your lap with palms facing up. Focus on your posture by means of sitting straight up. This will help you take in those deep breaths and follow along the guided video. All you need is to remember the 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold, and repeat as needed. Pretty simple, right? This quick and easy technique can assist with stress reduction and is popular because of the ease of implementing this activity anywhere you are. This exemplifies the mindfulness intervention portion that we just covered. Okay, expressive writing. So, what typically happens when a traumatic event goes unchecked? I mean, you can imagine these events can fester inside, producing some unhealthy reactions like obsessive thinking. Now, by doing the opposite, we are talking about confronting the feeling, which may reduce the need to obsess and inhibit the event, even reduce physiological activity associated with the event. So, a research study conducted by Penny Baker and Beal found that undergrad students who wrote about the most traumatic event in their lives found no lasting psychological distress and were less likely to visit the student health center after 6 months. It's very simple and very powerful. Relaxation techniques focus on the physiological experience of stress by reducing arousal by means of deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, which is the clenching and releasing of isolated muscle groups one at a time. Guided imagery, which is neat because you get to choose a mental image or pure imagination and think about the five senses. Yoga and self hypnosis, where you can get in a relaxative mind repeating words like, I am relaxed or my body is at peace. All of these are really cool examples. All right, we're coming to the home stretch of this chapter. Social support is the most vital of all protective psychosocial resources. There are so many benefits from taking advantage of this tool. So, social support is information from others that one is loved and cared for, esteemed and valued, and part of a network of communication and mutual obligations. Of course, social support can come from your caregivers, your spouse, relatives, friends, social and community contacts. The types of support that we may receive from these important people in our lives can be tangible assistance. For instance, if you ever experience a death loss and you have friends, family, coworkers bringing gifts of food, this would fall into tangible support. Another one is informational support. So, like if someone was about to undergo a scary procedure like getting LASIK surgery, a friend who has gone through that procedure can provide helpful information on what to expect from beginning to end. And finally, there is emotional support. So, imagine you are going through a divorce. Your friends and family can provide unconditional love and support to you. All wonderful things that I hope all of you have experienced in your lifetime, which leads to my next slide. There are benefits by being surrounded by awesome people. They lower the likelihood of illness, speed recovery from illness or treatment, and more likely to use health services. Sounds like a win to me, but do keep in mind social support can get you in trouble with some unhealthy habits such as smoking, excessive drinking, and drug use. Now, on the flip side, what about us giving support? So, research study conducted by Brown et al. Found people who provided instrumental support to friends, relatives, and neighbors, or who provided emotional support to their spouses, were less likely to die over the next 5 years. Giving is so rewarding and can take minimal effort to make an impact in someone else's life. In conclusion, we went over how to cope with stress using many resources. We also took a closer look at coping interventions and practice box breathing. And finally, we discussed social supports to include the different types we may receive from others and how instrumental we can be in giving support to others. I hope you all enjoyed this chapter as much as I enjoyed teaching it. Until next time, God bless and take care.